Hello, I am going to do a presentation on the importance of behavioral health training in the work field. My mission is to further educate all healthcare employees on every level to help improve the care of the mentally handicapped patients. These conditions can range from major depressive disorders, generalized anxiety, Down syndrome, autism, and more. My mission is to help educate the staff and prepare them for emergencies by providing them with the tools and education needed. My mission statement is to empower healthcare professionals through advanced behavioral health training to enhance and elevate patient care. The what and why. We want to raise awareness of behavioral health, enhance behavioral health patients' care, prepare and educate all staff. And a study that I had found is that a U.S. study illustrated that just 40.7% of physicians were confident about providing care to patients with disabilities, and most, 82.4%, perceive that people with significant disabilities have worse quality of life. My goal is to train the providers on how to deal with these situations, how to properly treat and take care of these patients. Not only for the providers to learn, but also for all of my staff. I want my front desk, my back staff, and even my higher ups to learn, because it's not only patients that can have mental disabilities, it's also our coworkers and our staff that can have them. I want to be able to provide the tools necessary for my staff to be able to handle a situation if something happens, such as an active shooter or a hostage situation. Oftentimes, these people that perform these are ones that do have behavioral health needs. And if we're not taught how to properly handle it, we can say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing, and it could just further escalate the situation. Another bit of research that I found interesting was Des Moines University in Iowa was the first school to offer a class on how to handle mental illness in healthcare, and this was only in 2018. So this is still a fairly new topic that we are still researching and undergoing on how to implement it into providers' teachings, but I feel it is a very important one that has been forgotten about for much too long, especially in today's world. Everyone is becoming more aware of their mental health, and we're wanting to better ourselves, and we're wanting to take care of it and not letting it go to the worst circumstances. The World Health Organization also conducted a study in Ethiopia regarding provider training for mental health illnesses. The study showed an increase in knowledge, attitude, and practice of the workers regarding mental illness. There was an increase of 42.56% in knowledge of depression just after 5 days of training. This goes to show that there is so much that providers can learn, especially if they're willing to learn. And this not only betters their practice of treating patients that do have illnesses, but also for finding out those little ticks or finding out what another patient, may not necessarily come right out and say, but they have the warning signs. It better prepares this provider on how to handle this and how to openly have the conversation with the patient, or even with the coworkers if there's one that you notice, hey, you might need a little help. I've noticed you've been not performing your best. Just being able to openly communicate with others, finding out how it works, how it happens, how you can better help someone. And the stakeholders, I said it's pretty much everyone. This benefits the patients, the clinicians, the clinical staff, the administrative staff, the management, and the investors of our property. As I mentioned before, I want everyone to know how to handle mental health, because there are going to be the times where your coworkers or if you're a hiring manager, you can't discriminate against people who do have these disabilities. You have to learn how to better help them. You don't want to cater to them. They're still equal to everyone else. You don't want them to get better treatment or special treatment compared to your employees who maybe don't necessarily air that they have a mental illness, or even the ones who don't have. It still needs to be a pretty standardized ground for all employees, but we need to know how to better handle these situations so that they don't get out of hand. The structure that I came up with is the highest will be the board of directors. The second will be the program committee, which will consist of the education working group, social implications group, membership engagement group, and then the last will be the finance and audit group, which will also consist of the public education and awareness group. The board of directors is a final say-so on any new plans or teachings that are to be implemented. They are the highest of the group. The program committee, education working group, social implications, and the membership engagement are all on the same level. The program committee are the group to make the yes or no sign off before the board of directors gets the idea. They work with the others to produce a plan for education of the staff. The education working group is responsible for researching new and innovative ways to teach staff about behavioral health. The social implications group is responsible for managing the social media and staying in tune with what the newest updates regarding behavioral health are. The membership engagement group ensures that the staff are enjoying and getting the best outcome from this program. They oversee gauging the employee engagement and producing improvements if needed. The finance and audit group and public education and awareness groups are on the same level. The finance and audit group produces a financial outline for the other members to follow as they create their plan. The public education and awareness group works with the social media group to share the learnings we implemented and their outcome to help influence other organizations to take on the teachings that we have came up with. The committee will base their discussion and ideas upon facts and research collected. Everyone will adhere to open, honest, and intellectual conversation. Ideas will be voted upon if there are any disagreements. That way we can not have any arguments or any animosity towards others. We will also come up with a plan that if the tension is growing in the group as someone doesn't like someone else's idea or they feel as if they're not being heard, we will come up with a plan to have a break session. That way we can come back in a week or so to reconvene the meeting. That way everybody can cool down, have more time to properly think of their processes. And the committee will meet bi-weekly until the program is up and running. Once staff are trained and feel confident, it will move to bi-monthly to maintain up-to-date trainings. Moving on to the finances, these group meetings will be held during lunch and learns. So these will be mandated meetings for all the staff, so they will be getting paid their normal hourly or salary rate during these mandated meetings. We will be sure to let them know 2 weeks in advance of when the meeting will take place. That way we can ensure all staff are going to be there and will not plan other errands to run during their lunch break. Lunch will be provided for staff as well, and they will have a $15 limit per person. So for us on the financial end, we have to take into consideration the normal salary or hourly earnings that each employee will receive, and then we were also going to be doing the lunch, so that would be up to $15 per person, and we will choose a different restaurant or a different menu every time that we hold these. The time that the committee will be working on their plans is they are going to plan time within their work day for research, even if it's just 10 minutes at a time. Once we get the ball going, we're going to be meeting bi-monthly, so they will have 2 months to really set aside 5 to 10 minutes a day to see if anything has popped up that's new, that's different, that they want to implement in our learnings. Then I also said that we're going to be bringing in outside teachers every now and then, not every time. So this will include If we get the fire department to come out for us or the police department, if they are not willing to do it on a volunteer basis, then I estimated $100 to $200 for their services for an hour time block. There are also programs out there where you can actually get someone who has Down syndrome or autism to come out and speak to the group. And I feel that this would be beneficial as well, because then you have the person who actually has the disability telling you, they still want to be a person. If things like this happen, the best thing, is just to talk to someone while you're going through the motions of seeing them and taking care of them in the office. And then the return on investments. So the formula that I found was profit divided by the cost of investment times 100 to get your percentage. So in this scenario, we did the current estimated value of the property is about $1 million, and then cost of investments over a year-long period, including the lunch and learns and the salaries, I said would be about $200,000 estimating. So 1 million minus 200,000 divided by 200,000, and then multiplying that by 100 will put us at a 400% return on investment. This is not really something that would be monetary. This is more so providing the best care to your patients, making sure that your staff understand. For me personally, there was a scenario while I'm a medical assistant having to give shots to an autistic kid. I don't really have the proper training on how to handle someone who has autism that is higher on the spectrum. The smallest things can set them off, so I personally just make sure I talk to them. I let them know what I'm going to do, even if they're nonverbal. Hey, I'm coming in to give you your shots. I'm going to clean your arm with alcohol first, and I'm going to pinch your arm a little bit to distract you, and I'm going to put a band-aid on you. Let's just try to make sure that we're not going to move. That way you don't get stuck and I don't get stuck again. I make sure to talk them through. One specific patient, mom was not a lot of help, and patient got really upset and they started freaking out and scared, and mom's like, no, we're going to do these vaccines because I don't have time to come back, I have to work. And that's understandable. If you're a working single mom, you don't really have the help that you need. I, as a medical assistant, I should have had better training on how to handle the situation. Looking back now, I should have stepped out of the room and said, no, I'm not going to do this, or let me go get help because I'm not comfortable. The patient ended up hitting me. I was able to get the vaccine in them, but it was a little rough. I almost got stuck by the needle. Thankfully, I did not, because then we would have had to both undergone getting our blood drawn. But just situations like this, I understand kids need their vaccines, autistic kids, anybody with mental illness, they can react differently, and we don't know how they're going to react until we're already in the situation. If I would have been better prepared or have been better taught in school for medical assisting, that would have bettered my ability to provide better care. Or I could have stepped back and be like, hey, I'm going to go get some help. You just stay in the room with them. Things like that really make this topic important and worth it. So I don't view this as much of a monetary value, although providing better care for patients and getting the word out that, hey, this clinic really does better with behavioral health patients in their family care practice, that'll help our finances as well, but that's not the goal of this. Our timeline, how we're going to get there. So I said that January we will plan the meetings and what the focus is going to be on for the meetings. We will create lesson plans, create pre and post quizzes for the staff to take to gauge their interest and confidence level. In March, we will host our first lunch and learn for all of the staff. We will ensure that they're aware of it 2 weeks beforehand to make sure that they don't have any conflicting errands to run that day. The first one that we host will be a committee talk class to find out their confidence level and where they're wanting to explore more in the behavioral health realm. April, we will plan to host another lunch and learn focusing on real-world scenarios for all staff, implementing different teaching styles. That way we can give them a scenario and see how they would react. That way we can really see where our staff needs more help engaging on how to take care of behavioral health patients or interacting with our coworkers. In May, we will focus on hosting another one, and I plan to invite the police department out for a safety lunch and learn. We will focus on active shooting or hostage situations and how to react in these situations. Inviting the police department out to help educate staff with de-escalation skills and learning how to respond quickly to a situation would be very beneficial as well. In June, we will plan to invite a speaker from a behavioral health class to come and further educate staff on different situations, how to gauge a situation, and how to help without being condescending to that person with behavioral health issues, how to handle situations when one gets worked up, the best verbiage to use, and how to come across to a patient who has that mental health issue. I've seen a lot in healthcare where it almost feels that employees are condescending to those with Down syndrome or autism. They are still patients. They want to be treated as patients. And a lot of the adult patients who have these more higher on the spectrum disabilities, they don't want to be treated as if they're children. They already know that they're different. So we still need to treat them as if they're adult patients that are coming into the office. How we will get there. This program will take time, consistency, and engagement. The time will be needed to really educate our staff, especially the clinicians and clinical staff, as they have a higher hands-on involvement with those with behavioral health. Consistency, just staying on top of it, hosting these meetings once a month for them. If my staff starts to feel really confident in their ability to handle patients or coworkers with behavioral health issues, then we can reduce it to bi-monthly or even semi-annually, just as refresher courses. And engagement will be the biggest one. We don't want our staff to feel as if it's a mundane, boring lunch and learn that could have been an email. We want them to be engaged. We want to give them real world scenarios that will help them. We want to hear their feedback on how we can improve these meetings and how we can improve these teachings. We want to get closer to our patients and our community, see if there's even some community mental health patients that are out there that are willing to come in and talk to our staff and give us feedback on how they were treated, even in cases that we can. Healthcare and our knowledge on it is growing every day. There's always some new groundbreaking research or there's some new study that's came out. So we want to make sure that we're staying up to date with those teachings as well for our staff. In conclusion, the purpose of this charter committee is to raise awareness of the importance of behavioral health trainings. Behavioral health trainings to improve the quality of patient care. We want to improve relationships with coworkers and staff, and we want to reduce the gap in care of mentally and physically disabled patients. Like I mentioned before, just staying consistent with these meetings will be beneficial, especially when it comes to emergency situations, as I mentioned, of hostage or active shooters. Engaging our staff and teaching them and providing them with the correct tools to handle these situations will increase their confidence and in turn will increase the care that is provided to our patients. Thank you all for attending this presentation, and I look forward to viewing what all of you have to say, and best of luck to everyone, and make sure you are all brushing up on your behavioral health communications.